Here's my NFL power rankings after week 4. At number 10, Seattle, welcome to the party. You're officially part of the top 10. That being said, I wish I could put you up a little bit higher, but you beat the Cardinals. Good win. I don't think the Cardinals are that good of a team, but this is a team that I had in the playoffs, the Seattle Seahawks. I had you going to the playoffs as a wild card. I still believe that you'll be a wild card. You can compete for this division. That actually is looking like it could be a real chance for you to compete for the division. I don't think that you're better than the Rams, though. I do think that you're better than the Niners, even though you already lost to them. And I know a lot of people are going to complain about that because the Niners are not in the top 10, but the Seahawks are. I do think the Seahawks are looking like a much better team than they were in week 1, and they're going to continue to get better as the season goes on. At number 9, the Indianapolis Colts. And look, they moved up a spot for me from last week, from 10 to 9. And I know that they lost. You say, Nick, why did you move them up in the rankings if they lost? Because that was a game that they could have won and probably should have won over the Rams. You have that really bad fumble by Adonai Mitchell going into the end zone. It was just bad. That being said, they competed with one of the big dogs. I consider the LA Rams a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and Indianapolis went into LA. I know that they don't have a ton of fans there, but they looked like a team that could win and compete with pretty much anyone. So I don't want to sleep on this team any longer. I think everyone needs to respect the Colts. They are here. They are a good team, and you'll see that as the season progresses. At number 8, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, and they move up one spot for me. Not more than that. They were number 9 last week. They move up to number 8. They have a really big win over the Ravens, and I know the Ravens' defense is very injured, but the offense did look much better with Xavier Worthy back in. And I think that as they get Rashee Rice back in a couple weeks, the offense will look much, much better than it has the first few weeks. That being said, the defense is very, very good. They held down Lamar Jackson and the Ravens all day. They couldn't get anything done, and it won't be every game that they'll be able to do that. I know against the Bills, Josh Allen typically can do whatever he wants against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. But that being said, this defense looks very good. The offense is getting better. I don't want to move them up more than one spot because I don't want to get too overconfident in the Chiefs off of one good game against a bad Ravens defense. But for now, they're number 8. At number 7, the LA Chargers. The Chargers look terrible this week. They were really bad on offense. Justin Herbert falls back down to earth. All of a sudden, you only have a 1-game lead over the Chiefs, and you have to play the Chiefs in Kansas City still. I'm not sure if I trust this Chargers team down the stretch for the rest of the season. Things can really... Number 6, Green Bay. They dropped 3 spots from number 3 to number 6. A really bad week for them. Their defense looked really terrible. Their offense finally shows up, and their defense is terrible against the Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't even have CeeDee Lamb. It's very concerning. I'm really, really losing hope on this Green Bay team. I know a lot of people were saying, oh man, maybe they could go undefeated. This is a really all-time team now that they add Micah Parsons. And I didn't buy into that much hype, but I was thinking, man, this is a really good team, though. They can definitely be a legit Super Bowl contender now. Now I'm kind of taking a step back. That team looks really shaky right now, so I'm not sure what to expect from them. Number 6. At number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I know that they just had their first loss of the season. They lose to the Eagles, but that was a game that they could have won, and they were missing a lot of pieces. Their offensive line's injured. You have Mike Evans that's injured. There's other injuries that they have to be worried about, and they still almost came back in that game. And that game included a blocked punt for a touchdown by the Eagles. That doesn't happen. That ends up being kind of a big difference in the game. Also, you have the fumble and Baker Mayfield throwing that interception at the end. Look, a lot of things could have gone differently, and they may have been able to win that game. At the end of the day, they lose it. That being said, with that many injuries to be competing against the Eagles, Tampa Bay's legit. At number 4, you get the LA Rams. The Rams, obviously, they win this game against the Colts, get kind of lucky with a few things that break their way. But the Rams are a legitimate team. They're a very good team. They have just a 1 loss to the Eagles, in which they really kind of blew that game. But they can compete with anyone. I do believe that they can beat anyone. And who's going to stop Puka Nacua? He looks incredible. They continue to get him open whenever they want to. He's a great receiver. I think that this offense will continue to get better as the season goes along, and this defense will continue to get better because it's a very good young defense. At number 3, you get the Detroit Lions, who beat up on a Cleveland Browns team that they have a good defense, but their offense isn't very good. I do believe in this Lions team. After week 1, they've really turned things around. They're looking dominant once again. I think that they're probably destined to let people down in the playoffs again. I hope not, but this is a very good team all the way around. They continue to move up for me. At number 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. I wanted to put them number 1. I ultimately leave them at number 2. They struggled a little bit with the Saints. That being said, I did say that this was a game where you can just try out things. It's kind of a practice game for them going up against the Saints. It's like the worst team in the league. You just try out some new things on offense, try out some new things on defense, see what works, what doesn't work. This is your time to kind of play around a little bit. And they played around with their food. Ultimately, they pull out the win. That's all you really need from them. This week, they stay at number 2. Number one, I go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I leave them at number one. I didn't want to. I really want to move this team down, but they are undefeated. They keep winning. Next week, though, I might move them down from number one, even if they win, if they look bad again, because they've had two halves in two games where they had negative yards on offense. You have a good quarterback, if not a great quarterback. You have one of the best running backs in the league, one of the best offensive lines in the league, and one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. And your offense is terrible a lot of the time. It is so terrible to watch, super boring, super stale. I don't know if they need to get rid of the offensive coordinator, but this team is so frustrating, even though they keep winning, that I'm willing possibly next week to move them down, even if they win. I'm getting to my wits' end with this team. I'm tired of putting them at number one just because they keep winning. But ultimately, right now, at least for one more week, Eagles, you get to stay number one.